Hey everybody.
Hey everybody.
Sean Benjamin.
Hey everybody.
Kevin Conaway and Michael McFarland. We're the Solo Society, group of singer-songwriters that play shows together and hang out. And you can come see us on stage. You can also watch our videos. We each have our own YouTube things and Facebook stuff. This particular video, we're going to take a look at Michael McFarland. So that's this guy right there. So this video is called Meet Michael McFarland. Michael McFarland, nice to meet you.
Oh, it's wonderful to be met, sir.
Where are you from, Michael McFarland?
Well, I'm originally from Kent, Ohio. I spent a few years living in North Carolina, and I am now a proud resident of Cleveland, Ohio.
That's right. You live in a gigantic house.
I do.
Cleveland,
I do.
It's
It may or may not be haunted.
It's very robbable.
Please don't.
Yeah. We'll give you the address.
It'll be in the comments.
I have a fearsome dog that's shaped like a sausage and like is this tall. He'll lick you.
You'll see him on Michael's album covers.
It's true. He's been on 2 of them. His name is Steve.
Okay, right. So where does the inspiration for your music normally come from?
Usually terrible times in my life. That's generally where it comes from.
That and the Dark Lord Cthulhu.
Yes,
right?
Yes. You know, I'm inspired by the ancient ones.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how long have you been doing the singer-songwriter?
I started doing the singer-songwriter thing late 2010, I think. I was in before that I'd played in rock bands since I was a teenager. So basically, 2010 was a really bad year for me, and it started as therapy, and then people seemed to like it, so I decided to make it more than that.
How many releases have you come out with?
I put out 4 records, 3 EPs, and 1 full length so far, and I'm always writing new material, so I've been at a pace of about 1 release a year, and I expect that will continue.
Now, you also have gone on a lot of tours. You've done a lot of touring, which is really cool. I'm very jealous about that because I love playing shows on the road. So tell us about some of the places you've toured.
I have, over the past 4 years, I've managed to hit 30 of these United States. All the way out to the West Coast, East Coast, Florida. I haven't made it all the way up to the West Coast into Washington State yet, but that's hopefully within the next year or so. But yeah, I did a 40-day tour in 2012 that took me all the way out to California, up into Oregon, and back across into Colorado and everywhere in between. So,
what do you think was the best venue you've ever played at?
Now, there's a difference between great venues and great shows.
Sure,
but
right.
Probably my favorite show that I can remember playing, I was talking about this earlier, was where I accidentally got double booked with 7 metal bands in El Paso, Texas. And we decided let's just merge the shows together. So I played right in the middle of 7 metal bands, and it was awesome. I still keep in touch with the guys from Bow Prometheus who are based out of Texas. So,
right now, what about your least favorite?
Well, there's this guy named Sean Benjamin.
Oh, no.
I've heard that guy.
No, so, do you not have a least favorite, or do you still want to share?
I mean,
because that's understandable. I can see.
I can't really think of any shows that were just like, oh my god, I don't want to ever do that. There are some that it's either they just sort of blend together and they fall into that average show category. So I generally try to, when it's not in my music, I try to focus on the high points in my past, which is, it keeps my mood up, and then I put all the bad stuff in the songs.
That makes sense.
Okay, Okay, so one of the things that I was going to ask you before we decided to stop and do an edit was who your influences are. Now, I know that question, like whenever we do like a radio thing or a TV thing, we get asked that question, and it's kind of like a weird thing, but like you said one that actually really surprised me on the road, but it's because I didn't know too much about the band. Played on the same bill as them back in 2010.
Oh yeah, so I draw from a lot of influences. 90s alt rock is one of the big places. Like that was the music that made me want to play music in the first place. Eve 6, Third Eye Blind, Our Lady Peace, all of those. Also a lot of classic singer-songwriters like Jim Croce and Paul Simon, like those are big for me. But if there's a single band that I can probably point to that's had the most influence on how my music sounds, it's Switchfoot.
interesting.
Yeah.
Right, and that was surprising to me too because I had not known quite as much Switchfoot until we were driving back from.
I was like, here, listen to this, listen to this,
and it made total sense actually because I really only heard maybe like 3 songs like on a regular basis of theirs.
Yeah.
And they weren't songs that really screamed Michael McFarland to me, but the songs that he played, it made sense, and we pointed out some of the things. But I mean, we did that the other day when we were talking about my recording.
Oh
project.
yeah, absolutely.
You pointed out the things, why I like certain songs. Like, I didn't know why I liked a lot of the stuff I like, but Michael was like, "Oh, well, this is what that has in common with that," and I never would have picked that out.
Yeah, so he played about like 20 or 30 songs for me that he was like, these are songs that I really really like, and after listening through all of them, I was like, oh, well, there's a thread that runs through all these elements that are similar in them. So yeah, it made perfect sense.
Right, which is great. It's good to kind of like understand your own personal recipe that you've been able to do. All right, so what we did when we got the edit is we got some of your stuff out, some of the things you want to tell us about some of these things?
So I'd mentioned my various releases, so I will go in chronological order. So this was my first EP. This is called Michael McFarland Made a Mess, and I'd mentioned my dog Steve. He's right there. The next thing I put out was full length called Waking Up as a Letdown. It's the green record, and I color code them because I can never remember the names. You'll notice I'm actually looking at the names of them so I remember what they're called. So the green record is easier for me to remember. After that, this one, it's actually double-sided because I put out 2 EPs. So this is A Failed Breakup, and then the flip side on the vinyl is A Sarcastic Tango. So I have those as 2 separate CDs, but on the vinyl they're side A and side B. So that's what I've done so far.
Right, now, what would you say is your favorite song of yours?
My favorite song of mine, the one that's most fun to play for me at this point, it's a song called Stupid.
Right.
That's on
Sarcastic Tango, right?
On Sarcastic Tango, yes. Yeah. Thank you for remembering the name of my record, because I was
go.
about to look at it.
And I believe it's a love song, right?
It is indeed a love song.
Right, it's really cool. So when you go to a Michael McFarland show, one of the things that he helps me out too with on stage now, backing me up, is you've got the looping pedals and you do some really cool rhythms.
Yep.
The rhythm to that song, the beat to that song is really, really cool. And I get that song stuck in my head quite a bit, actually.
That means I did my job, right?
Now, is each record influenced by different things that happen in your life?
I mean, if you listen to them in sequence, you can kind of piece together some of the story. So, Made a Mess, the Blue record, I wrote in the wake of the end of my engagement. So I was engaged to be married in 2010, and that didn't happen. And so this was sort of, it's kind of a bitter record of like trying to come to terms with that. This record was a little bit more of that same story and my departure from Ohio when I went to live in North Carolina for 3 years. And so there's a little bit more of, recovery, healing, all of that you'll find in this. It's not quite as bitter. It's more like, all right, I'm going to survive this. This record, this is actually about my wife and my story. It's called A Failed Breakup because when I moved to North Carolina, my wife Beth and I decided to end our relationship. And
you weren't married at that point.
No, I was not. I was not. Yes, we were not married at that point. So we decided to break things off, and we really tried to break up, and it just didn't quite work out. So we ended up getting back together and getting married. So this is our story. And Sarcastic Tango, I wrote over the same period as A Failed Breakup, but it's much more like sardonic, quirky, witty wordplay, a little bit more upbeat and like world rhythm influenced in the songwriting. Right. So it's got a different feel, but it was from the same era. So I decided to put them as side A and side B because they were designed to sort of fit side by side like that.
Speaking of witty wordplay, I think the actual title track of Sarcastic Tango might be some of the wittiest wordplay that I've heard.
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes when I write songs, I end up mixing metaphors just because I'm a lazy songwriter. On the title track of A Sarcastic Tango, I did it on purpose. And actually, the first person, we can toss a link to where you can listen to it.
Sure.
First person to send me a message from this video with the number of mixed metaphors, not counting duplicates, I'll send you something fun for free.
There you go. Now, That's another really good track, Sarcastic Tango, because that's another one where the rhythm is just really unique, and very jealous of.
And while the title says tango, it's actually a rumba is the rhythm that song uses.
I'm noticing a similar vibe with all the graphic design work on all these too. Who did that for you?
That was actually me.
You
knew that answer already.
I did.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't really relate to the music that much, but a lot of times when I go on tour, I do it on my motorcycle. So
except recently,
well, it's part of your branding.
it's true. Yeah. I have the whole writer, rocker, biker, geek thing going on, and that biker isn't just That's not just to sound cool. I actually tour on my motorcycle sometimes.
Okay, I know what I want to ask. Okay, so if people went to your Instagram, what would they find?
Pictures of my dog, pictures of food, pictures of three of us lately. Yeah. Places I've traveled, and stuff.
What if they went to your YouTube?
They went to my YouTube. A lot of me talking about stuff, and mixed in with some music videos. So I, especially when on tour, I post random thoughts about what I've encountered and things like that, and just musings on life and science and nerding out about TV shows and this and that. Yeah,
did you create any internet phenomenons that drive a lot of traffic to your website?
So
a leading question, right?
There's this one graphic that I designed, which is if you Google sci-fi coexist, it will point you to my website. George Takei, who was Mr. Sulu on Star Trek, the original series, shared that at one point, and that's actually still the largest traffic driver to my website. Is this like graphic that's like the coexist bumper stickers with all the religious symbols, except it's like science fiction.
I'll try to get a graphic of that to show up on.
Nice,
yeah.
Awesome.
How's your George Takei impression?
Put me on the spot there.
Yeah, the only thing
oh my!
Oh my!
Oh my!
There we go. Alright, so cool. We're going to wrap this video up, but where you can find Michael McFarland, hit it.
MichaelMcFarlandMusic.com. It'll take you everywhere you need to be.
Right, perfect. And of course, you can find him at his shows, and you might find us there too, and you might find him at Kevin's shows, and you might find him at my shows.
It's true. So I might be hiding in your closet right now.
But do make sure to subscribe to all of us on YouTube, and of course, friend us on all the different social networks. It does help out. I know it seems like weird to ask people at the end of videos, but it really does help us out as independent artists to do that kind of stuff. So please do that, and we'll see you for the next video where we're going to meet Kevin Conaway. We'll see you then.
Stop acting so stupid, stupid. When you say don't think we'll make it, don't make me blame Cupid, Cupid. But I know I'm strong enough to take it. Stop acting so crazy. When the little things go wrong, we're not getting out that easy, cause we're in this for the long haul. Oh, 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 oh. Apologize that I always leave my things around when I focus on minutia while the walls are falling down. Realize there are times that life can get you down, but we're better at what we do than other options than this me.